Parents' career playbook is dead. And if you're still trying to follow it, you're going to get left behind. But here's what nobody's telling you. There's a new playbook, and it doesn't require starting over, or better yet, burning everything down. Today, I'm breaking down what worked for our parents and why that same playbook is actually costing you opportunities right now. Because here's the thing, they had a promise we don't have. And once you see the difference between what they got and what we're dealing with, everything starts to click. I'm going to walk you through what replaced the whole stay at one company for 30 years thing and how to actually leverage the career path you've built, even if it feels all over the place, and what you should be doing instead of following their playbook. Let's get into it. I'm Jraya Nicole. I'm a career strategist and corporate exit mentor, and I help mid-career professionals transition from corporate to purpose-led work without sacrificing financial security or starting over. I built six-figure success as both an entrepreneur and corporate professional. So when I was laid off at 43 at the peak of my corporate career, I didn't panic. I pivoted. I returned to entrepreneurship, which is my first love, where I had already proven I could build and scale. I took everything I learned from nearly 2 decades in both worlds and turned it into frameworks that help other mid-career professionals do the same thing. Because here's what I know. You don't have to start over, and you don't have to just take anything. You can design what's next if you know how. So let's talk about the playbook your parents followed, because understanding what worked for them shows exactly why it doesn't work for us in this day and age. Their playbook looks something like this. They picked a company, stayed for 25 plus 30 years, climbed the ladder slowly, got promoted based on tenure, and retired with a pension and a gold watch. The deal was simple. You give us loyalty, we give you stability. And for them, that worked. They could graduate high school or college, walk into a company, and know if they showed up, did good work, and kept their head down, they'd be taken care of. But our reality looks nothing like that. We can be top performers and still get laid off when the company decides to restructure or go in a different direction. We can have 10 years of tenure and watch someone with 2 years get promoted because they're just better at visibility. We can do everything right and wake up one day realizing the company we've been loyal to has zero loyalty to us. So what changed? The contract broke. Companies used to invest in long-term employees, and now they optimize for quarterly earnings. Pensions turned into 401ks they were responsible for managing, and job security, that turned into employment at will. Let's talk about AI automation and restructuring. That means entire departments can disappear overnight, not because the people failed, but because the business model shifted. So here's what I need you to understand. The linear career path is dead, but what replaced it isn't failure. It's what they're calling portfolio careers. And I know that sounds like corporate speak, but here's what it really means. You've probably worked across different companies, different industries, picked up skills that they just don't fit neatly into one box. And you've been taught to apologize for that, to explain it, to make it sound more linear than it is. Here's the truth. Those aren't gaps. Those are assets. Every skill you picked up, every industry you touched, every pivot you made, those are building blocks that make you more valuable, not less. And their playbook said stay in one lane, but the new playbook says your range is your advantage. Now let's talk about exits, because the old playbook had a very specific way of leaving a job. Their exit strategy, you stayed until retirement. If you left early, it was because you failed or got fired. Job hopping back then was a red flag, and changing careers was risky and rare. Our exit strategy, it has to be different because most of us, we're not staying anywhere for 30 years. The average tenure at a company now is 4 years. And if you're in tech or startup, it's even shorter. But here's what I see happening. People are still using the old exit strategy in the new reality. They wait until they're forced out. They get laid off. They're burnt out. They have a breakdown and finally decide, I can't do this anymore. And when you exit in that way, you lose all your leverage. You're making decisions from fear. You're scrambling. You're taking the first offer, the first client, because you need the income right now. And a year later, you're right back where you started. Different company, same misery. That's the old Playbook's exit strategy playing out in the new reality, and it doesn't work. Here's what works now. You plan your exit before you need to leave. You build what I call a beautiful exit, strategic, intentional, and from a position of power. The old playbook says wait until you're forced out, but the new playbook, plan while you still have leverage. The old playbook, take the first offer that shows up. The new playbook, know your options before you need them. The old playbook, job hopping is a red flag, but the new playbook says strategic moves, they show growth and self-awareness. But here's the difference, positioning. Because that playbook, that old playbook said, just be good at your job and you'll be rewarded. But today in this new playbook, being good, it isn't good enough. You need to be visible, credible, and positioned. Because here's what I've learned coaching hundreds of people through this. You can be the best at what you do and still be invisible. And invisible people don't get opportunities. They don't get offers and they don't get options. Visibility leads to credibility, and credibility opens doors. And that's what I teach inside my CAPE framework, which is career advancement and positioning experience. It's about making sure that when you're ready to move, people already know what you're capable of, not because you're bragging, because you've been strategic about how you show up. Let's talk about how to actually plan your next move using the new playbook. Their career planning look like pick a path early, stay on it, move up the ladder, one rung at a time. Don't rock the boat, don't ask for too much, and wait your turn. That doesn't work anymore. Here's what works now. Offense, not defense. And defense is what most people do. They wait. They wait until they're laid off. They wait until that burnout. They wait until they're desperate. And we don't want to make decisions from desperation. Offense means you have a plan before you need one. And I know if you're still employed right now, you might be thinking, I don't have time to plan. I'm barely surviving. But here's the thing. If you're still employed, that's when you're in the most powerful position possible because you have time, you have income, you have leverage. And here's what offense actually looks like. Number one, you're building skills while you're employed. You're not just doing your job, you're actively learning things that positions you for what's next, taking on bridge projects that stretch you, building proof of what you can do. And number two, you're testing ideas on the side. If you think you might want to consult, you're taking on small projects. If you think you want to start a business, you're validating the idea before you leave your 9 to 5. You're not betting everything on a guess. And number three, you're networking strategically, not just collecting LinkedIn connections. You're actually building relationships with people in spaces that you want to move into, having those conversations, learning what's possible. Number four, you know your financial runway. You've done the math. You know how long you can go without a paycheck if you need to, and you're not guessing, you're planning. And finally, number five, you've mapped out your options. You're not just thinking, I hate my job. You're thinking, here are 3 things I can do next, and here's what each one of them would require. Because the old playbook, just work hard and hope it works out, but the new playbook, work smart and design what's next. And that's what I built into the Beautiful Exit. It is a roadmap, a workbook, because people kept asking me, okay, I got the philosophy, I understand it, which I described in my first book, Choice Destinations. But what do I actually do? So I built the roadmap step by step. How do you figure out what's next? How do you plan financially? How do you position yourself so you're not starting from scratch? Because that old playbook, stay until you can't anymore. But this new playbook in this new era, plan your exit while you still have power. That's the difference between a crisis and a calling. So if you're sitting here thinking, okay, I see it now, the old playbook isn't working, but I don't know what my next move is quite yet. Let me tell you, you're not behind, you're right on time. And you don't have to figure this out alone. Every Saturday, I send out a newsletter, Saturday's Table. It's where I share the new playbook. It's real talk about career transitions, not that corporate fluffy stuff or affirmations or motivational quotes, just strategy that actually works in today's reality. And if you're trying to figure out your next best move, that's where we have these conversations, okay? So all the links will be in the descriptions. It's free, it's every week, and it's a community of driven professionals, people who are done following the old playbook and ready to write their own. And if you're at this point where you're seriously considering your exit, whether that's 6 months out or 6 weeks out, and you want to talk what that could look like, drop the comment, drop the word CAPE, CAPE. That's it. Just that word, and I'll reach out with information on how I might be able to support your transition. Because here's what I know. Your next move doesn't have to follow the old playbook. It doesn't have to be reactive, and it doesn't have to blow up your whole life. It can be strategic. It can be intentional. It can be designed by you for you. That's the new playbook, and that's what works now. Look, your parents' playbook wasn't wrong. It just doesn't apply anymore. And the faster you accept that and start using what actually works right now, today, the faster you'll get to what's next and best. If this landed, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps this reach more people. They need to hear this. And I'll see you next week for those of you joining Saturday's Table. Until then, make your next move your best move.